flex. Buckle up and join the best. Let Citi relieve your stress. So yes, let the music soothe your soul and keep it going just to refresh. Buckle and enjoy the ride from 2 to the half of the 5. Mondays to Fridays happening live. Where we gon' have a ball, you can text your guys. Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue, oh yeah.
Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. Are you ready for the traffic avenue? Let me tell you what you really gotta do. You can count on us, we come through. We got everything you need, that's true. An applause for the traffic avenue.
Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, the Traffic Avenue. Traffic Avenue, the show for me and you. Mondays to Fridays, ooh, Traffic Avenue.
Detailed news, unparalleled coverage. Citi News on 97.3 FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Citi News.
It's 17:30 GMT. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. I am Umar Rusanda Amadou. Tonight, I'm here with
Nashika Caesar.
Nashika Caesar it is. And coming up over the next 90 minutes.
Tax. They are over-exploiting, and I'm saying it without fear.
Good for
Yes, tiles way. You got to turn on China. I personally went. I knew how much I support this one. Some of the highest grades you can get in here. But bought it for less than a fraction of the Omoton, the weakest link, the Omoton.
Bekwai Member of Parliament, who is also First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Wusu, goes to town on Ghanaian traders whom he accuses of exploitation in business. We have his full argument here, plus a reaction from Guta on Eyewitness News. Also coming up, Public Utilities Workers Union, PUW, kicks against President Akufo-Addo's latest appointment. The workers say the newly appointed Deputy MD of the water company is not fit to occupy that position. And later on Eyewitness News, residents of La and other interested citizens in Accra demonstrate over the government's failure to build the La General Hospital, which was demolished years ago. Stay with 97.3 Citi FM for more on this and many other stories on Eyewitness News. And in business
community cast doubt over Ghana Revenue Authority's ability to generate expected revenue from the newly introduced taxes.
That's in 50 minutes from the business desk of Citi FM and Citi TV. Eyewitness News is live across Ghana on a number of affiliate stations, including on Tumpani Radio 88.5 FM in Nadoli in the Upper West region and Jirapa 96.1 FM also in Upper West. In Upper East on Rekas 92.1 FM in Bongo Namo, in the Northern region on North Star Radio 92.1 FM in Tamale. In the Northeast region, we are on Nobia FM 98.1 FM in Nalerigu. In the Western region on Beach 105.5 FM in Takrady, as well as Sky Power 93.5 FM also in Takrady. In the Ashanti region, we are in Kumasi on Focus 94.3 FM and Orange 107.9 FM. In Volta region in Dabala, we are on Sela Radio 97.1 FM. On Holy FM 98.5 FM. in Aflau. In the Savannah region, we're on Kasha 99.5 FM in Damongo. Do send us your messages by reacting to the conversation we are having tonight on 0549 986 996. Send tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom. Tweet at Umaru Sanda or at Citi973. We're live on Facebook and we are live on citinewsroom.com. Let's settle for details of our stories now. And the first one has to do with how much you pay for the goods that you buy and who exactly is the one behind the cost. Nashika has a story.
The first Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Member of Parliament for Bekwai, Joseph Osewusu, has slammed the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA, and says the group is overexploiting Ghanaian consumers. GUTA has been displeased with the government for failing to acknowledge their petition that urged President Akufo-Addo not to assent to the 3 new taxes. Speaking to Kumasi-based Oirepa FM's Parker Wilson, Joseph Wusu condemned what he described as the dishonest business ethics of Ghanaian businessmen and women because they evade taxes, inflate prices, but complain when taxes are raised.
Let's be fair to this country. Talk tax. They are over-exploiting, and I'm saying it without fear.
Good for
yes, Kyle's way. You got to turn on China. I personally went. I knew how much I support this one. Some of the highest grades you can get in here.
Yeah.
But I bought it for less than a fraction of the Omoton, the weakest link the Omoton will have.
But the import duty, Speaker, you've not factored that
into it. Not the trade duty. The trade duty. The day ban, the trade duty. Right? The point is that dishonesty now make come. We go to the air conditioners. And they are going to say, lawyer, said the Italian opportunity, the 10 bar training. Every one of them will tell you honestly.
I see.
And good for Sabi. Catch a folk I can to become brofono. It can no credit power munim that they are under declaring, they are under prices, no. They're inflating the charges and they are making huge profit on any product. We kind of crunch taxes. Then say, and your mom the benina, it treat the appropriate taxes. It should reflect in how much revenue we generate.
Yeah.
That was the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament and MP for Bekwai, Joe Wise. Meanwhile, GUTA has responded to the MP, describing his posture as arrogant.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. So the Member of Parliament was speaking three interlaced with English, a few parts that are good for you to understand via a translation. He talks about Ghanaian traders being overly exploitative. He mentions tiles in his room where the interview was being conducted. He said that these tiles he bought from China and they were way cheaper than the lowest amount you would get tiles for here in Ghana. The host, Parker Wilson, then interjected and asked if he considered the taxes that GUTA members pay. He also insisted that, well, he paid taxes when he brought in those goods to furnish in his room. He also talks about agents at the port saying that when they bring in 10 things or 10 items, they would under-declare and say there are 3. He says GUTA members are dishonest. They don't speak the truth. They have been under-declaring and just making huge profits. And indeed, if they've been paying taxes for all what they've been importing, we would have been raising so much revenue at the port. Let's speak to Clement Boatin. He's Vice President of the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GUTA. Mr. Boatin, you're welcome to Eyewitness News.
Yeah, Sanda, good evening and thank you for having me.
I have just tried to play the audio of the first Deputy Speaker. You stand accused. You've heard what he said. What's your response initially?
Yes, Sanda, for the caliber of a person like Joe Wise, who is the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, you know, to come out with a statement of this nature is very unfortunate. We don't expect him, you know, to be coming out with a statement of this nature, because if you say we under-declare, we overprice our goods to make huge profits, and that we are dishonest, are you saying GRA is not doing their work? Because we don't give values for duties to be paid. When we bring in our goods, we submit our invoices, our list of items as well as our bill of lading to the GRA to give us the required duties to pay. And so if you say we underdeclare, are you suggesting that GRA is not giving us the desired duties to pay? You see, if statements of this nature comes from our leaders, then we don't know where we are heading to. The position that he's occupying, he should know that he's occupying that position as a privilege and that it was people who voted him into that position. And so therefore, if he's making a statement, he should be very cautious of the statement that comes out from his mouth. If you say we don't have any moral authority to complain about the taxes that we are paying, you as a first deputy speaker of Ghana, and you are aware that the president has been championing the cause of patronizing local goods, and then you went out there with our scarce foreign exchange to purchase goods abroad and then bring it. Do you have the moral right to complain of anything? Do you have the moral right? So we are very much astonished. I must be frank with you. We are very much astonished from that unguarded statement by the first deputy speaker. And I think posterity will judge him.
But let's look at the elements of the issues that he raised. If there is exploitation, he feels it, and that's why he's talking about it. He says that he went to the market and the amount or the price you have put on tiles, for instance, is way, way higher than what he got when he went to China. Clearly, even though he's a first deputy speaker, he knows that we are supposed to patronize goods in Ghana. If you're going to cheat him in Ghana, he should not remain in Ghana simply because he wants to be patriotic. And again, it's not as if Guta produces here in Ghana anyway. You also import. So if you can go to China to import, he can equally go and do same, knowing that he will not pay as much as you would ask him to pay if he bought it from you here in Kumasi or in Accra.
No, what exploitation is he talking about? You know, Guta has been complaining, and it is not even Guta alone. It is the entire business community in Ghana that has been complaining quite some time now over the cost of doing business. You are aware that currently, if you go to our ports are empty. Look, just 2 weeks ago, GPHA arranged a meeting with us to find out the reason why Ghana is losing cargo. And as a result of that, government is losing a lot of revenue simply because the cost of doing business in this country is very high. So if government is coming out with a lot more taxes, which is going to compound the problem, and Guta is complaining, then you have the audacity to insult the traders, for that matter, the business community. For every cost that any businessman, expense, you should know that he will definitely pass it on to the consumer, and that will definitely result in price hikes. And that is the more reason why we have been appealing to the government not to assent this, we have been appealing to the president not to assent this bill, because the moment president assents to this bill and then it becomes law, it means that implementation is going to start. And when the implementation is going to start, it is going to compound the problems that we've been talking about. And we wouldn't have any other option but to pass on to the consumer. You are aware that this year VAT has been increased from 12.5 to 15%. If you add the other levies of 1% COVID, 2.5% get found, 2.5% of national health insurance, we are paying VAT at 22%, and that affects all the levies and taxes that we pay at the port, which has a cascading effect of whatever pricing that we are supposed to come out. So if goods are expensive, it is not the doing of Guta. It is rather as a result of the high cost of doing business and the excessive taxes that we are paying. You, as a first deputy speaker of parliament, we petition parliament not to, pass this bill into law. You were there. You didn't do anything about it. You try as much as possible to gather your people as we will say, the minority will have its say, and the majority will have its way. And then this bill was passed. And finally, it has been accepted by the president. So if it has been accepted by the president, and then tomorrow you go to the market and you see that goods are high, prices of goods are high, do you then blame Guta? You don't blame Guta.
But this comment he's making, I'm sure it's in reference to issues that have been happening even before the new bills were passed before the House. And he even references some of your friends that he says have told him that you always give a lower figure for, well, under declaration is the right word, or the right phrase to use.
Sandra, it is never true. That was why initially I told you that if what he's saying is anything to go by, is he inferring that GRA is not giving us the required duties to pay? Because when we bring the goods, we don't come out with the duties that we are supposed to pay. It is the GRA. We submit our invoices, our bill of lading, everything to GRA to come out with the required duties that we are supposed to pay. So if you say we are under declaring, are you saying GRA is not doing their work very well? Is that what he's implying?
Okay, so, but is he also not a citizen, a consumer who can attest to, except that he's a speaker, so maybe we hold him in high regard, because we've just called him now. He says he stands by every word he has said in that interview.
He can choose to stand by it, but like I said, posterity will judge him. He can choose to stand by every word that he has said, but posterity will judge him, whether what he's saying is right or wrong. Posterity will judge him.
So your people don't overcharge us in the market, is that what you're saying?
What overcharging? Look, the market that we are is very, very competitive. We are in a very, very competitive market. So you cannot overprice your goods. If you overprice your goods, Sandra, you'll be out of the market.
What if you decide to become a cabal so that everybody in the group decides to, again, another factor that has to be considered. Many people go to the Nigerians because the Nigerians offer them lower rates, and the argument is that.
I don't want us to go in that tangent.
No, but it could be a justification for the member of parliament's comment.
If it could be a justification, do you know the policy rate in Nigeria?
They go to China with you, or?
Yes, they go to China with us. But I'm asking you, do you know the lending rate in Nigeria as a result of the policy rate that they have? So if I'm borrowing at 45% here and go to China, and somebody in Nigeria is borrowing at 25%, do you expect me to sell at the same price?
So that could be the reason that they sell at a lower price, and not because so it's a circumstance and the fees and charges and the economic situation in Ghana that makes you charge higher than ordinarily you should have.
Exactly. So that is why we have been appealing to government to try as much as possible to reduce the cost of doing business here. Look, just about a year ago, there was a fact-finding mission to some of the ports within the sub-region to find out how much the shipping line charges are charging over there. If you take the total percentage of the shipping line cost, in Ghana here, it's almost about 7% of the total clearing charges. Go to Lome and find out. Lome is just below 1%. Lome is just below 1% of the total clearing charges that the shipping lines are charging. So if I'm paying 7% here, and somebody in Lome is paying 1%, and somebody in Lagos is paying maybe 2 or 3%, do you expect us to sell at the same price? It cannot be possible.
Very well.
It cannot be possible.
Very well. Let's leave it here. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you for having me.
That's Clement Boateng, his vice president of GUTA, the Ghana Union of Traders Association. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 CTM. Let's just hear again what Joe Wise, the MP for Bekwai and first deputy speaker, said, which has angered GUTA so much. He spoke on Oyerepa FM and TV in Kumasi. He spoke to Parker Wilson.
So, let's be fair to this country. Tax. They are over-exploiting, and I'm saying it without fear. Yes, Kyle's way. You got to talk about China. I personally went. I knew how much I support this one. Some of the highest grades you can get in here. Yeah. But I bought it for less than a fraction of the Omoton, the weakest link the Omoton.
But the import duty, Speaker, you've not factored that
into it. Not the duty. It's your duty. It's your duty. Right? The point is that dishonesty in America. We go to the conditions. And I can't cancel lawyer and said the eternal opportunity the 10 bar training. Every one of them will tell you honestly. See. And I good for Sabi. Try to focus on to become broken. It can no credit power munim that they are under declaring, they are under prices, no. They're inflating the charges and they are making huge profit on any product. We kind of crunch taxes. Then say, and your mom the benina, it treat the appropriate taxes. It should reflect in how much revenue we generate.
Yeah. So if you know that the conditions here.
So that's the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei, is speaking on Oripa TV in Kumasi. Let's hear from the Federation of Labour. Abraham Kumsin is the General Secretary. That group is also disagreeing with the first Deputy Speaker. Listen to Abraham Kumsin.
So if you know that the conditions here are not helping sales of product at a control price, and you go to China and bring products that we have substitutes here in this country, then what are you doing? If people here are overpricing or they are evading taxes, there are so many ways as government in power. You can deal with this kind of overpricing, but you leave Ghana, go to China, and go and buy something there. You see, let me, the industries, because they will not be able to sell. Now that some MPs can go to China and go and buy things cheaper there. That's why it tells us that our products here cannot be sold. Unfortunately, if even these taxes are being applied well, we'll have problem. Because this is a finance minister who in parliament, his own MPs, MPs, but 90 of them said, no, the man is not competent. He's not able to manage the economy well. We don't want him. President, sack him. So what has changed? Has he now gone to Harvard to do post-PhD within this short period to master the art of managing an economy? It's very sad. And this man is a person that he's bringing taxes upon taxes, and you know the man is not competent. And all that he's doing is to undermine the economy, undermine business. And the MPs are there. They are part of this problem that we are facing. Everybody is saying president. President, what is it? Or not, baby? Yes, he has a constitutional mandate to do, but he's one person. That's why we have the Council of State members to also advise both Parliament and then the President himself. But they're also not doing it. Because of Article 71, they are there benefiting.
That's Abraham Kumsin. That's not all. He spoke to Bernard Avle this morning on a gamut of issues, but there was a question that Bernard asked him, which has to do with the Labour Front's seeming silence or failure to take on government successfully in recent years, unlike what we used to know in the past, where if organized labor sneezed, government caught a cold. Bernard asked him, what is the problem? Why is organized labor not that strong, especially considering the fact that just a week or so ago, the organized labor groups have been asking the government not to let the new bills pass, the tax bills pass. Even after they were passed in Parliament, the groups consistently told the government, and the president for that matter, not to sign the bills into law. The president has disregarded them. So Bernard put that question to him, and let's listen to his answers.
They know that we now lack the capacity to fight them. And it's because the industry that used to be very vibrant is no longer strong as it used to be. And the workforce, about 80 something plus of them have lost their jobs. And so the few remaining, yes, we can talk. But when it comes to those days that we were in the union, 81, I mean, that is the time that GAIP was working. That is GAIP, that is talk, was in full operation. VACO, very sensitive areas like, I can't count them. When we come together, when we meet, government Shiva, even in the military, during the military regime, talk. Now GAIP, now talk. When we hoist the red flag, to be and others will run and come to us and come and plead. But you see, what is done now? Look at its condition. Workers are not finished yet. Unfortunately, some of us we are old, but we try to build the youth if they are ready and prepared to offer themselves. We will help them.
That's Abraham Kumsin. He's General Secretary of the Ghana Federation of Labour. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
You know your Papa see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Cause and you. Can't feel better energy. Can't touch this. Tell you guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that? Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz. And he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chema. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You're welcome back. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let me read some of your messages. John sends a message from Sandema, and it says, why we did not anticipate this from Joe Wise. Are they not the very people who have imposed 1 million taxes on Ghanaian businesses? When they were approving the taxes, what were they thinking will happen in the market? Insensitive government. General Ortega says, Joe Wise must also understand that market players are only reacting to policy failures. Government is squeezing businesses with taxes instead of encouraging them to expand. From taxation to production is in reverse gear. What a shambolic government in our history. Emil Akwensivie in Boso in the Eastern region says the taxes are too much. Traders would push these new taxes to consumers who are already overburdened with taxes. What about production the government promised? Zilis Dwayne in London says Joe Wise is rather exposing the GRA, and I feel he is confused. Harry in Hacho says in Ghana, our marketing people, transportation gurus are the ones failing the nation. Let us rise up against these ones. Jones Adoboy in La says the deputy speaker should give us a break. What do you expect if government keeps increasing taxes left, right, center? Like nobody's business. Albert from Matayako near Afienya says Joe Wise should submit his documents on the tiles he imported for public scrutiny. Do send your message to 0549-986-996 or send tweets using the hashtag Citi Newsroom. Let's go to some other stories now.
The Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, has disconnected the University of Mines and Technology and Johnson & Coal Mining Company in Takwa for failing to pay arrears of 2.4 million Ghana cedis. Speaking during the disconnections, the Western Regional Public Relations Officer for the ECG, Benjamin Kwaku, said that its connection formed part of the nationwide revenue mobilization exercise.
Before 20th March, we made it known to everybody, the general public, that this is the exercise we are embarking. And that's notwithstanding, our customers, the agreement we have with them, after using the power, you have to pay on monthly basis. So if you have decided not to pay for so long a time, some 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, then I don't think we have to come to you to plead for you to make payments. It is notice enough for you when we bring our bill to you that you owe us, and it is your duty to make payments. So if you have not made payments, that is not fulfilling part of your schedule with us. I don't think we have the luxury of time to go or make more announcements to that effect.
Benjamin Kwaku is the Western Regional Public Relations Officer for the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG. In a related development, the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO, has also disconnected the Bolgatanga Technical University from the national grid following their inability to settle their debt. The university owes over 1 million Ghana cedis but paid only 50,000 Ghana cedis this morning. However, NEDCO said the amount paid by the university was inadequate and went on to disconnect them. Here is the NEDCO's Upper East Billing and Revenue Officer, Engineer Williams Asari.
Okay, so we engaged the school authorities, the registrar and his team. The pro-vice chancellor was there. As at February, their indebtedness is 1,083,215 Ghana cedis. It appeared that as at this morning, they had gone to pay 50,000 out of the 1,083,000, which is woefully inadequate. So they are left with 1,033,000, and we engage them so that they can make some substantial payment. Unfortunately, they are unable to meet us, so we have no other choice than to disconnect power supply to the university.
Engineer Williams Absari is the Upper East Billing and Revenue Officer of NEDCO. Now, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has bemoaned the lack of commitment on the part of the Sifi Akontumbra district in the Bono region to complete 2 projects in the area. The 2020 Auditor General's report on the utilization of the District Assembly's Common Fund revealed that a chips compound worth over 180,000 Ghana cedis has been abandoned for the last 48 months, with the teachers' quarters also abandoned for 50 months despite the use of 288,000 Ghana cedis of the Common Fund on the project. Appearing before the committee, the acting coordinating director of the Sifi Akontumbra District Assembly, Richard Deladake, says contractors of the project have abandoned the site due to a lack of funds. Here are excerpts of proceedings of the committee at Sunyai in the Bono region.
Tell me, what was the state at the time that you audited and whether there has been improvement as they claim? Because I want to be sure there has actually been improvement between the time of auditing and now, which they can't confirm. They can't tell me anything.
Honorable Chair, the status has been the same.
So it means you have done nothing. And if you have not awarded new projects since this audit, and you have received common fund for 2021, 2022, and nothing has changed, then where is the money going to? I will defer this to Chairman. But I'm not satisfied with they have not awarded projects since this audit, and yet they haven't done anything.
I think that question we ask, it's not well answered. If you have not awarded contracts since these findings were made, your common fund should be able to complete the project. Then he said there were other commitments. Which other commitment? Common fund is for development projects. And if these are the projects which were outstanding, if there were other projects which were outstanding, the auditor would have noted them here. So that answer is not satisfactory. But let me find out, do we have the contractors on site as we speak?
Honorable Chair, no, please.
Where are they? They left site.
Honorable Chair, yes, please.
Well, are you owing them?
Yes, Honorable.
So now, when are you going to pay the contractors to come back and complete the project?
Chair, we budgeted for them in our 2023 budget. So we
are. You received your allocation, common fund. Are we going to receive any money this year? You received something recently?
Yes, please, Honorable.
Have you paid them something?
We've made commitment to pay them. Yes.
Have you paid them?
No, please, not yet.
When are you going to pay them? Are you paying them from the recent?
Honorable, honestly, it's not possible to pay them from this. The current release that we have.
The projects are not your priority. That's all. This project, they are not your priority. Cheap compound, they are all cheap compound. No, cheap compound and teachers' quarters. Yes. They are not your priority.
Honorable, it is, please.
No, that's what I can say. They are not your priority. Let's move on.
Those were excerpts of proceedings of the PAC Accounts Committee of Parliament at Sunyai in the Bono region.
This Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Let's talk about the La General Hospital. It used to be a huge towering building in La. It has since been pulled down by the government, which said it was going to rebuild it. Turns out the place remains. The last time a reporter went, he said a part of it was being used as a maize farm and the rest, nothing really was happening on the grounds. This has angered residents of the area who today went to demonstrate on the state of affairs. Ebenezer Otu is president of the Gadangme Youth Consortium. Mr. Otu, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. Hello, Mr. Otu.
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Yes, how are you?
I'm fine, sir.
Your demonstration today, who were there? As in, where were the people from? The people who came to demonstrate?
Oh, they are all from the Gadambi Contest. Those some are from La, some are from Nungwa, some are from Teshi, some are from Usu, some are from Gamashi. So it comprises of the whole Gadambi sector.
What was your message?
Well,
what was your message during the demonstration, and to who were you sending that message?
Our message it was in three sectors. We have the education, the health, and the social development. With education, we are saying that our Ghana language should be compulsory taught in all basic schools in the Greater Accra region. And then the training Ghana teachers, those who have gone to Ghana schools and learn Ghana, should be posted back to Accra. So probably within the education sector, we are saying that they have to post back the training Ghana teachers to Greater Accra, and then our language should be compulsory taught in Greater Accra. Because as it stands now, as you and I speak now, our language is not being taught in the schools. There's a problem. And then we have the health sector. The health sector, we are seeing that La General Hospital is a problem. It was demolished in 2020. As it stands now, it hasn't been rebuilt. So we are saying that what prevents the government from factoring in the La General Hospital into the Agenda 111, this is also that is their building. You know what I mean? And we have the social development side. The social development side, we are saying that we cannot sit in Bukum, Bese, English, Abula, Choko. We cannot be there. The youth cannot be there. For a hostel to be built for Kai in Ajehotuku. You know what I mean? Why do you want to build hostels for Kai? Once our parents and sisters from Bukum and so forth don't have a place to sleep, and it's a problem. That's our concern. And then under the social development, we have the Plaga Market. Yeah, the Plaga Market has been demolished since 2016. So in that regard, the government must see the need to establish it in a very fast-paced manner. You know what I mean? We have the encroachment of Koli Lagoon and then Sako Lagoon. And it's all a problem. So we are saying that we are calling the government that this and this is our problem. So you have to respond to the needs. So the Deputy Chief of Staff, lawyer Nia Duma Bosman was there, and then we presented a petition to him.
I see. Let's talk about the La General Hospital. What's the state of affairs there?
No, nothing is going on there. There's no construction. Nothing is going on there. The land over there, we realized, our team went on the floor, realized that there's some onion being grown over there. We don't know whether it's deliberate or someone or it just came down from the ground. But the condition over there, nothing is being built there. And then it's 3 years now. So we are saying that if you look at the structural integrity test report, it shows that larger hospitals should be demolished. It's a must for it to be demolished. But after demolition, you have to allocate funds speedily for the building to be established. Because currently, those in La Township, if they are sick, or if our parents, our grandmothers, and those over there, if they are sick, they have to rush them to Kolebu to hospital. And looking at the traffic jam that involves from Kolebu to La to Kolebu is so worrying. So in that regard, it has put up the death rate of the indigents in La. So we are saying that why don't we factor in La General Hospital in La General Hospital? Because our parents, our family, our relatives cannot lose their lives based on La General Hospital. So thirdly, nothing is going on there.
I see. When the government was coming to do the demolition, were you not consulted? Were you not told what the action plan is, the duration of the construction, and so on?
The people of La were engaged. Even the high priest over there was there, even for libation and everything there. They sat them down, say this and this and that. But as soon after months, they tried to engage the Minister of Health and other appropriate authorities to verify why things are delayed. But every now and then, they come in with excuse. They are saying they will come, they will allocate funds. It's a problem, they have to pass through and so. So it's like there's a whole lot of hula baloo, health scatter up and down, which every now and then it attempts to one excuse, which is not usually a positive result. If I engage the MC for a feedback, and then after as it stands now, you are seeing no showdown from me. You know what I mean? So it's a whole lot of problem. So we are saying that we are presenting this petition to the president. Maybe the president is unaware of what is going on. So in that regard, the president will intervene and then see how best this thing can be established.
was an alternative place not given to you when the place was demolished, so that people who used to go to the La General Hospital had an alternative place to go to in the interim? Didn't you have that?
No, we don't have that.
So there isn't any public hospital or public health center in La catchment area now.
There isn't. So if you are ill at the moment, you have to go to Lejuku, or you have to come out to Kolibiti also. And then we are saying that the traffic jam and then the congestion area that's involved is a lot of problem. And it's very worrying. So in that regard, that's the one we are speeding that process to make sure that this thing is being done or looked at a most faster manner.
Thank you. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
That's Ebenezer Otu. He's president of the Gadangbe Youth Consortium. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. We are broadcasting from number 11, Dr. Martin Loop in Adabraka in Accra. We are also coming to you around the globe via citinewsroom.com. We are live on YouTube, and we are interactive too. You can join the discussion by sending your messages to the various platforms that we have. If it's on WhatsApp, 0549-986-996, 0549-986-996. If it's Twitter, you use the hashtag Citi Newsroom. You tweet at Umaru Sanda, that's my personal handle, or at Citi973, and the world will hear what you think. Let's remain on this subject a little bit longer and speak to Dr. Anthony Nsiasari, his presidential advisor on health. Doc, you're welcome to Eyewitness News. The last time I engaged you, this issue of La General Hospital came up. At the time, you said you didn't have a full brief. It appears the residents there have had enough. They said 3 years on, you only have an onion farm on their previous health center. What's happening?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yes, now government is working on it, and they should be very patient. Very soon they will see some action at La General Hospital premises.
The action is taking a little too long, isn't it?
Yes, as you are aware, I mean, there was supposed to be a facility to do it, and it didn't go through 100%. So the president has charged that a team from the Ministry of Health and the Office of the Chief of Staff should work on it and make sure that something happens there as quickly as possible.
So would the government accept that you were poor in your planning? Because, I mean, the biblical verse always comes up about, preparedness. It appears that you were not ready. You were not prepared. You just demolished the building that was already there without putting funds and the necessary resources on standby.
See, the question you should ask ourselves if the building which was there was habitable. I mean, there was a lot of, even when I was the Director General of Ghana Health Service, that's where we started looking at the integrity of the building. And it was a very dangerous building, a lot of cracks, and at any time it could have fallen down. And I'm sure nobody would have forgiven anybody, especially in government, if that place which was harboring patients, sick patients who cannot even run, especially when there's a disaster. So for one reason or the other, that building was supposed to be demolished. And that's the reason why together, the ministry together with consultation with the chiefs and people at that place have to demolish it with a hope. And then everybody was hopeful that the contractors who are already there would have started work as quickly as possible. And by now, as you rightly said, maybe we would have finished the hospital. But man supposes, and sometimes God supposes. So it's not that the planning was poor. The planning was going on all very well, but you all know what happened since the end of 2019, 2020, 2021, all the things that we've gone through. So people are sitting around the table to make sure that something happens as quickly as possible. We are considering a lot of options, and I think the details will come out very soon from the Ministry of Health.
Do we have any timelines that we can work with?
As I said, the details of when we start and what we are going to do, they will come up very soon. It will be duly announced.
But the facility that you talked about, have we seen clearance now? Has it come through, the money?
Yeah, that's what we are now discussing. There's a lot of discussion going on, both in the Office of the President and the Ministry of Health sat down together, and we're working out something which will be announced quickly, very soon to everybody.
Very well. Thank you so much for speaking to us, Doc.
Thank you very much.
That's Dr. Anthony Nsiansari. He's Presidential Advisor on Health. This is Eyewitness News on 97.3 Citi FM. Nashika, what else do we have?
While the Public Utility Workers Union of the Trade Union Congress, TUC, is opposing the appointment of Collins Nanturi Nwama as the Deputy Managing Director for Finance and Administration at the Ghana Water Company Limited. The union says Collins Nwama, who served as Director of Finance and Administration at the NPP headquarters, was not a qualified chartered accountant and therefore was ineligible for the position. Mr. Nwama was nominated by President Akufo-Addo to serve as the Deputy Managing Director of the company, but a petition from the Workers' Union to the Minister of Sanitation and Water Resources is alleging that Collins Nwama is not fit for the job. Here are excerpts of the petition read by Citi News' Sami Yafi.
The position of Deputy Managing Director, Finance and Administration requires a person who, among other qualifications and experience, should be a certified chartered accountant belonging to a recognized and accredited institution of chartered accountants. The information we have gathered indicates that Mr. Collins Nwama is not a chartered accountant and does not qualify to be appointed as Deputy Managing Director, Finance and Administration for the Ghana Water Company Limited. In addition, within the Ghana Water Company Limited, even the position of Chief Manager for Finance demands that the person selected must be a chartered accountant belonging to a recognized professional body of chartered accountants. It will therefore be senseless for Ghana Water Company Limited to be given a non-chartered accountant to superintend the work of subordinates who are qualified chartered accountants. This will create avoidable tension and chaos within the company. Furthermore, the board and management had intimated that the company is going through difficult financial situation. This is evidenced by the recent salary increment of 15% given to staff that has created a lot of tension and anxiety within the company. In the light of the aforegoing, we are submitting this petition to you and requesting that you use your good office to ensure that the nomination of Mr. Collins Nwama as Deputy Managing Director, Finance and Administration is withdrawn, and further action should not be taken to result in the appointment of an unqualified person to this very important and critical position within the Ghana Water Company Limited.
Those were excerpts of a petition from the Public Utility Workers Union of the Trade Union Congress. Now, President Akufo-Addo has cut short for the construction of a vaccine manufacturing factory, DEK Vaccines Limited, in a bid to make Ghana self-sufficient in vaccine production. The project, with an investment of $122.6 million, will see to the manufacturing of vaccines for diseases such as malaria, pneumonia, and cholera. Speaking during the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of DEK Vaccines Limited, President Akufo-Addo said the completion of the project would enable the production of vaccines that would meet national and regional needs.
Far from viewing the pandemic as a disaster before which we were powerless, we in Ghana embrace fully the lessons it taught us, as well as the direction to which it is pointing us. In particular, for us, it has given us a good sense of how important it is to strengthen our unity and solidarity with our fellow African countries, and has provided us with the motivation, if any was needed, to be self-reliant. Whilst appreciating the COVAX, AU, and AVAT in COVID-19 vaccine supply initiatives, we're venturing into vaccine development and manufacturing with our sister African countries of Rwanda and Senegal. And together, we're determined to become vaccine manufacturing hubs in sub-Saharan Africa. We want to achieve self-sufficiency in vaccine production to meet future national, regional, and continental needs for health security. We shall not then in the future be at the mercy of foreign vaccine nationalism and geopolitics.
That was President Akufo-Addo speaking there. Moving on, security analyst Dr. Ishmael Norman says the IGP's meeting with political parties is a good initiative, but fears the pleas may be overstepping their bounds by truncating freedoms of speech. His comments are a reaction to the police administration's meeting with the leadership of the NDC and NPP over some recent happenings in the political space. The police administration met the parties on Monday following the alleged use of indecent language. After the meeting, the police service announced the formation of an election security secretariat to work with the various political parties in their respective internal elections. Dr. Ishmael Norman has been speaking to Citi News.
This is where I think the IGP has overstepped his mandate. In a democracy, the people have the right of freedom of speech. That right is so extensive, so expansive. No police commissioner should try to truncate the people's right. If, for example, a pastor makes a prediction about somebody and the person feels aggrieved, the courthouse is there. It's not the role of the IGP to invite the pastor to say, you cannot predict. He doesn't have the power to do that. And in this country, any powerful person or anybody presumed to be powerful can actually come out with an edict and we just surrender to the person. He doesn't have the right to do that. So the political parties campaign, they have the right to say the things they want to say to energize the base. And the IGP doesn't have a right to interfere.
Even if what they are saying is insightful and may lead to chaos.
It hasn't incited anybody. Who did it incite? We have to define the limits and the expanse of causing fear and panic. Political speech, political campaign is not one of those.
Dr. Ishmael Norman is a security analyst. Now, scores of residents in the Anglo district, specifically Fuveme, have been displaced once again at their new location after tidal waves hit the community over the weekend. Their present location of the community will be the third since tidal waves occurrences have become very common in the area. Over 60 affected residents in the community are currently staying with neighbors after losing their belongings as their rooms are now inhabitable. Speaking to Citi News, the assembly member of the Fuveme electoral area, Raphael Agbanovo, noted that the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, was yet to provide any relief items.
We just saw that the sea level has risen again and water been flowing into the community, pulling down structures, not even wooden structures, but block structures are being pulled down by this heavy water flowing into the community. And as we are speaking, even the community, that's the community school, the Marisi Basic School in Agokeji, has not been accessing teaching and learning because the school was also flooded. Houses were flooded severely to the extent that you cannot access your room. Even how to retrieve your belongings has become a problem. We are talking about 60 plus people that are being affected severely. We have to use our local means to actually drain the water away back to the sea. The district executive is aware, and NADMO came yesterday to assess the situation. Our MP also came yesterday to assess the situation. For the side of the NADMO, they have taken the data and looking at what they are saying at their store now. They don't have any relief item to give, but they are going to consult region and national to see if they can support the victims for now. But the MP is saying he has once raised this concern at Parliament. So he's going to work on that again, if possible, and get the people out of that before working on how to protect the rest of the land and the rest of the people who are closer to where the disaster is happening.
Raphael Agbanovo is the assembly member for the Fuveme electoral area in the Anglo district of the Volta region.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/Citi97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/Citi973, and Instagram at instagram.com/Citi973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
Get the details. Every significant financial transaction, every market movement, and all the policies that affect your business. Citi Business News. Be informed.
Time now for Citi Business News on Eyewitness News, powered by citybusinessnews.com. My name is Nashika Caesar. Let's settle for the details. Now, the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana has expressed doubt that a Ghana Revenue Authority GRA won't be able to generate the anticipated revenue from the newly introduced taxes. President Akufo-Addo recently signed the 3 new taxes into law despite stiff resistance from the business community. The financial bills seek to also raise about 4 billion Ghana cedis annually as part of the domestic revenue mobilization moves. In an interview with Citi Business News, the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobet, stated that businesses are currently unable to fulfill their tax obligations, so the GRA should not expect to receive even half of the expected revenue.
This policy the president has signed, I can tell you, GRA will not get the revenue to collect it. Because if I don't make profit, I can't do what I come to tax me for. But you know what is going to happen? They are going to harass business people. They are going to embarrass them. Now, when they are going to harass business people and embarrass them, they will be threatening them with commissioner instrument. Commissioner will be issuing threat letters. We'll take it to court. We'll do that. Then what will happen is that some of these people, especially both national and international people, they will wind up. When they wind up, they will close down their businesses and relocate. Others are already planned to relocate to Ivory Coast. I know a company that look by July this year, we are going to open up in Ivory Coast. As we speak, you know there's a smuggling going on in this country. Rice importers, rice is being brought from Ivory Coast. As we speak, frozen food, fishing. Look, if you go to fishing harbor, those who import fish in full vessel, Ghanaian fish importer, Ivory Coast fish importer, Togo fish importer, they're all business people. Is that not it?
That was the Executive Secretary of the Importers and Exporters Association of Ghana, Samson Asaki Awingobet. Moving on, a Director of Policy and Research Bureau at the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana, Kojo Ahiakpa, has opined that the 3 taxes assented by the President may cause a rise in food inflation. Over the weekend, President Akufo-Addo assented into law the Excise Duty Amendment Bill 2022, the Growth and Sustainability Levy Bill 2022, the Ghana Revenue Authority Bill 2022, and the Income Tax Amendment Bill 2022, passed by Parliament on March 2023. In an interview with Citi Business News, Kojo Ahiakpa explained that the new taxes will further increase the cost of doing agribusiness in the country, and producers may likely shift the cost over to consumers.
On the growth and sustainability levy, the implications to us on agribusiness are as follows. One, it's going to increase cost of doing business in Ghana because it's going to add to the cost of doing business in general, and not only the expenses. Hence, any allowable deduction that is stated in clause 3 of the bill definitely is going to impact cost of doing business across board. And you know how that goes to increase the cost of goods and services across the country. That is going to impact cost of living. And depending on the elasticity of demand for these goods, there's definitely going to be a lead in terms of possible increase in inflation, in terms of food inflation, to put it in the right perspective, because we are speaking about the agribusiness sector. And especially in the cases where businesses are not able to pass the cost on to consumers, they may try to absorb it and shift it backwards by reducing the production or supply. In other words, they'll cut down their supply chain, or they'll cut down their production levels in order to be able to absorb the shocks. And this also means that there's going to be a layoff of labor. If you're cutting down costs, as a result, there's also going to be a reduced use of inputs, especially in the production of these goods and services, especially in the agribusiness sector.
Kojo Ahiakpa is the Director of Policy and Research Bureau at the Chamber of Agribusiness Ghana. Moving on, the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, Duncan Amoah, is calling on the President and the appropriate authorities to give critical attention to the issues confronting Ghana's only state refinery, the Tema Oil Refinery TOR. The workers of the refinery recently complained of their inability to meet their domestic and social obligations due to the many challenges facing the refinery. They also lament that the Workers' Provident Fund has been in arrears for years in violation of the law regulating pensions, resulting in untold hardship for staff. Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC, Duncan Amoah, has been speaking to City Business News on the issue.
We are certain that if Mr. President were to pay the slightest attention to the refinery, he would appreciate these concerns raised by the workers. As a matter of fact, one of the things that kept Tema very buoyant and good not long ago was the refinery. In fact, if you saw the refinery working and Valco was working, you knew Tema was buoyant. But as we speak, that economy is almost collapsed because the refinery is out. And I do think that Mr. President should pay some critical attention. The lip service has been one too many. We have told them too many things. We have made too many promises, only for us to wait and the year runs out and the workers are still not working. A lot of them are getting offers outside. As I speak with you, I know for a fact that over 60% of these workers have got their working visas ready to move out. I do not think we should wait for this very strategic national asset to collapse on all of us at a time when we are also changing our few dollars that we have to go and import refined fuel back into the country. This is not good enough.
Duncan Amoah is the Executive Secretary of the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers, COPEC. Finally, the Ghana Statistical Service, GSS, is projecting that about 4.3 million individuals will arrive in the country as tourist arrivals by 2027. And if this is properly optimized by industry players, it will help boost the local economy. The service also maintains that it is committed to helping the various ministries set clearer statistical targets, which are in consonance with national development. These comments were made by the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim, during a launch of the 2023 Domestic and Outbound Survey in Winneba.
Ghana Statistical Service in recent times is embarking on a journey that we call profiling the policies of all our ministries, departments, and agencies. Why we are doing that is to be clear in our mind as a country the way we are engaging with statistics. It is important that every ministry would have its policy document, its strategy, its plans, having clear statistical targets. This exercise will be a maiden exercise, and it is the initiative of Ghana Statistical Service. Why we are doing that is, if you don't measure the progress at the lower level, it's difficult to measure the progress at the national level. 3 numbers to keep in mind. It is projected that by 2027, we're going to have about 4.3 million people who would come into the country as tourist arrivals. All that Ghana Statistical Service is doing is ensure that we have good tourism data. And the DOT, that is the domestic and outbound tourism exercise, is one of the 4 activities that we're going to do in the course of the year.
That was the government statistician, Professor Samuel Kobina-Enim. And that's all for City Business News on Eyewitness News, was powered by your most comprehensive business news website, citybusinessnews.com. My name is Nashika Caesar. Up next is Point Blank.
Let your voice be heard on Eyewitness News on Facebook at facebook.com/City97.3, Twitter at twitter.com/City973, and Instagram at instagram.com/City973 with the hashtag Eyewitness News.
You know, Papa, see that? And it's rickety car. Hey, Papa! Papa!
Bobo, so how your engine now?
It is half man, half amazing. Thanks to Quartz and you can feel better energy. Can't touch this. Actually, guys, so Sancho's engine just died like that. Yes, so somebody managed to convince him that there is a better engine oil than Quartz, and he switched. Sancho Panza. Now, which engine oil can be better than Quartz? No other, my guy. Quartz with its age-resistant technology, it keeps your engine younger for longer. Now you know. Have you guys seen the new bottle design? It's superb. Quartz 9000 from Total Energies there improves fuel efficiency. Why do you think Mr. Mane and Logoso have taken the Quartz Nation movement World Cup like that? Sorry. Chairman. Hey, Quartz. Keep your engine younger for longer.
Eyewitness News. Be there as it happens.
And we are going to the United States of America. No, not to the Washington, D.C. area where the IMF meetings have been happening. Rather, we are going to Massachusetts, where Harvard University is, where the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has been visiting and giving a lecture, which lecture is on digitization, the economy of Africa, and so on, and how the continent is going to get out of the doldrums. So let's listen to our Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
This is an important gathering of some of the brightest minds and most committed individuals from across Africa and beyond. The broader theme of this conference, reimagining Africa's growth in our own terms, is both timely and appropriate. For too long, Africa has been defined by external forces and influences, with little say in the direction of our own growth and development. We have been told what to do and how to do it, with little regard to our unique histories, cultures, and aspirations. As a continent, we have endured 400 years of slavery with devastating consequences for our economic growth and development. We've also endured some 75 years of colonialism following the Berlin conferences, where Africa was carved up amongst the European powers of Britain, Germany, France, Spain, Great Italy, Belgium, and Portugal. The economic systems implemented by the colonizers in our countries were primarily designed to serve the economic interests of these countries and not the colonies. The development of Africa in this period, of course, was not on our terms. But today, at this conference, we are taking a different approach. We are thinking about reimagining our growth on our terms with a clear vision of what we want to achieve and how we want to get there. We are embracing our diversity, creativity, and resilience in charting our own path towards a more prosperous and inclusive future. At the heart of this vision is the transformative power of technology. We know that technology is a powerful tool to drive innovation and competitiveness in all sectors of the economy, and we are determined to leverage this tool to its fullest potential. By 2050, 1 in 5 Africans, 1 in 5 people in the world would be on the continent of Africa. Africa will also have the largest youth population in the world. Imagine all of these people are healthy, educated, and productive. Imagine the economic effect of their aggregate demand and their cultural and creative influence and power. Imagine the influence of African music and the arts and general contribution to everything. This is why reimagining Africa's growth on our terms is very timely and exciting. I have no doubt that if we chart the course to fix our problems on the continent, it will translate into acquiring the voice and the space we desire at the global table. So far, our failure to fix problems at home have made it easy for others to deny us the right voice and place, and even constitutes an unjustified excuse for others to look down on Africans everywhere. These and many reasons are why we absolutely need to fix our local issues urgently. To do this effectively, Africa must deliberately figure out and chart its own course and make sure we get it right this time. For many centuries, Africa has been at the receiving end of other people's ideas and dreams for us. When it comes to reimagining Africa, my imagination simply settles on Africa as a co-equal with other continents in the management of the affairs of humanity. An Africa which is in charge of its own issues and destiny and is respected for what it brings to the table, which is a lot. We should leave behind the Africa which is called to the table and told what to do, when indeed it is a major provider for everyone else, even though it is not rewarded appropriately. We should leave behind the Africa which is descended upon by others, dug up everywhere, and the treasures in its bowels ripped out and shipped off raw to power and shipped off raw to power other people's development, who then turn around and treat us as a basket case only fit for charity. I imagine Africa at a place where it can assert its true power for the benefit of its people and their dignity wherever they may be, in or out of the continent. Ladies and gentlemen, after a careful assessment of our collective progress so far since independence as African nations, what is clear to me is that many African countries are trying to grow and develop with very inefficient underlying systems that do not provide sufficient micro foundation to underpin sustainable growth and development. The operative underlying systems in many African countries are characterized by elements including a highly informal economy. The colonial powers were only interested in the formalization of their economies to the extent that it furthered their objective of maximizing resource exploitation of the African continent. Many governments since independence have continued with and entrenched the status quo, and this has resulted in the exclusion of the vast majority of the population for the benefit of the elite. Another characteristic of the underlying inefficient systems is that for many countries, there is no unique identification for the population. In addition, our citizens are not properly and uniquely identified for many countries. It was possible, or it is possible, to be born in a country in Africa, live a full life, die, and be buried, and there will be no trace of you on the documentation that you ever lived and died in the country. The poor mostly suffer from this type of exclusion. Many countries do not have functioning property address systems. Many people take property addresses for granted, but can you imagine what it would be like in the United States of America if the address system suddenly disappeared? Just disappeared. there will be chaos. There will just be complete chaos if you didn't know where to find. You didn't have a working address system. That this is a piece of soft infrastructure that we don't really put a lot of value on, we take for granted. But there would be complete chaos in the economy of any modern country if the address system completely disappeared. But this is what African nations, for the most part since independence, have been living with. There haven't been these address systems. The majority of the population in many African countries are excluded from the financial system, no access to bank accounts. The poor and rural folks are even intimidated to step into a bank, to open a bank account, on financial savings, interest rates, and economic growth. Payment system, another element, in many of our countries is dominated by cash, which makes it very inefficient and not transparent. In many African countries, it's largely based on manual systems that are characterized by bureaucracy and corruption. The ports, drivers and vehicle licensing departments, passports acquisition, health insurance registration and renewal, and so on. The quest for public services, a very frustrating process. Identification numbers, just 4% are tax identification numbers. And therefore, you can't tell who, without a property address system, the collection of property taxes is also problematic. You do not have the data to tell which properties have paid property taxes, and in this case, many countries on the continent, that is the case. So how can you mobilize domestic revenue in these circumstances? Manual systems and the lack of integration of existing databases has resulted in a proliferation of fake documentation, whether it's birth certificates, insurance stickers, vehicle registrations, driver's licenses, land title certificates, and so on. There is therefore constant suspicion around documentation, and a deficit of trust results, which makes the cost of doing business very high. The lack of identification also allows ghost names on government payrolls in many countries. Many African countries also do not have a working system of credit reference agencies to provide credit reports and scores on individuals and businesses to lenders. They don't have the data, because you need the data to be able to do such credit scoring. They don't have the data required to provide the credit reports. The potential for borrowers to abscond in that circumstance is very high, and therefore the cost of credit is high, and we face many high interest rates for lending. We, ladies and gentlemen, we have lived with these problems for over 60 years since independence. Nobody or institution has insisted over the years that we must have unique identity, property address systems, financial inclusion, and so on, as a prerequisite for economic growth and development. You know, we've gone through many IMF programs, World Bank programs, and so on. But there has never been an insistence that this is a requisite. Well, there is an insistence that you have to increase taxes or whatever. But have a unique identity, have an address system, have financial inclusion. Those underlying micro foundations, we've never really been told. But why, of course, should you be told? The international development game is a competitive game. And if you go for a football match and you decide not to have a goalkeeper, your opponents are not going to tell you that you should bring in a goalkeeper. They will keep scoring. until you figure out that you need a goalkeeper. And that is where we are. African countries, ladies and gentlemen, made the mistake after independence of continuing to rely on natural resources as the colonial powers did, instead of human resources for our development. The reliance on primary commodities has made African countries vulnerable to external shocks. As a result, the focus of economic management by successive African governments since independence has been on crisis management as a result of factors such as the collapse in commodity prices, increase in oil prices, debt unsustainability, macroeconomic instability, and so on. Governments have by and large not focused on the underlying system that underpins economic activities and economic growth. Our focus has always been on managing crisis, one nature or the other. The reality, ladies and gentlemen, is that African countries have been trying to transform their economies without data and transparent systems. That is really the reality. Governments are taking critical decisions without being informed by the data, because the systems that are underpinning the economies are not generating the data for decision making. So when our government assumed office in 2017, we made the ambitious decision to address all of these problems of the lack of unique identity, address systems, and so on, immediately and simultaneously. What is the best way to do it? Our decision was to quickly transform our economy by leveraging on technological innovations as a means to leapfrog the development process, overcome legacy problems, and provide both economic and public sector governance. We chose digitalization as the vehicle, and this is why digitalization has been a major area of focus for our government. If data is the new oil, then digitalization is the most effective and cost-efficient vehicle for generating the data. Now, let me delve into the key areas of transformation that have been critical to Ghana's digital journey. We had to quickly address the issue of unique identification numbers for the population, and the introduction of a biometric national identification system in Ghana has been a game changer in several ways. Thus far, more than 17 million people, over 80% of the targeted adult population, have been enrolled in a secured national database. With the Ghana card, which is the national ID in Ghana, the identity of people, even dead people, can be established using their fingerprints. This is one of the most transformational projects implemented under digitalization. With this, we have solved the problem of providing unique identity to our population, a problem we have lived with since independence, over some 66 years ago. We have also started a pilot, ladies and gentlemen, and will likely roll out a nationwide system of providing national ID numbers to children at birth from June this year. The absence of an address system resulted in a landmark address system. We were addressing by landmarks, right? So pass the big tree, turn right at the blue house, the woman selling cocoa on the left, take the left there, and who will betide you if the woman doesn't appear that day? To solve the problem of a lack of a working address system in Ghana, we have leveraged on GPS technology to implement a digital address system for Ghana covering every square inch of Ghana, every square inch of land or water. In the process, we have identified and provided unique addresses for some 8.5 million properties in Ghana, along with street names and numbers. And these are being rolled out as we speak. This new system has made it easier for businesses to locate their customers and vice versa, and for emergency services to quickly respond to calls. Additionally, it has made it easier for the government to identify properties. We have therefore solved a major problem that we have lived with since independence through digital technology. Because once we've completed the work, every place was properly identified. Ladies and gentlemen, as I said, one of the biggest problems that was impeding financial sector development in Ghana is the issue of financial exclusion. This means that most of the population is excluded from fully participating in the financial system because they are unable to open and operate bank and other financial services accounts. And this reinforces the dominance of cash payments. As at 2017, the data showed that about 70% of people in Ghana had no bank account. About 80% of the adult population had mobile phones, with 16 million active mobile money accounts. It was also not possible to send two customers money from one telco to another. They are not interoperable. So we ask the following questions. Why can't we make it possible to send mobile money across different mobile money services? And also, and most importantly, why can't the mobile money account function like a bank account by making it interoperable with bank accounts? This was a major question we had to ask, because the majority of our people were very happy with mobile money accounts and mobile money, but many of them will not step into a bank. So the question is, how do we make the mobile money account interoperable with the bank account? And we had to find a technical solution for that. I mean, it had not been done, not in Africa and not anywhere in the world that I was aware of. But we set ourselves the task to do exactly that. The answer to these questions was the implementation of the groundbreaking mobile money interoperability system. The mobile money payments interoperability has made it possible to transfer money seamlessly across different mobile money providers and between bank accounts and mobile wallets. And in doing so, we've provided mobile money wallets the functionality of traditional bank accounts. And as a result of mobile money interoperability, Ghana now is the fastest growing mobile money market in Africa. And as I said, as far as I know, Ghana is the first country in the world, and certainly the first in Africa, to achieve this type of interoperability between mobile wallets. Today, payment system reform that we have put in place has made it very easy to open a traditional bank account. For many banks, anyone can now open a traditional bank account remotely through their mobile phones or filling out the forms. Clients only need a valid national ID card, and no additional information is required because all the information is in the card. So once you want to open a bank account, you dial a USSD code, you put in your national ID card number, and your bank account is opened right there and then, because the bank has all the KYC information they need on your Ghana card. So we have put the fintechs, the banks, and the telcos on a common platform, and this has therefore helped Ghana in the context of access to financial inclusion. Our country now is the #1 in Africa when it comes to access to financial inclusion. Through digital technology, We have therefore practically solved the problem of access to financial inclusion, a problem again that we have lived with since independence. The digital payments infrastructure is boosting e-commerce in Ghana. Businesses are booming over in the Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. Many people who could not afford to rent or build shops are able to do business on the internet at little cost, with deliveries helped by digital addresses and payments using mobile money interoperability. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, in the area of domestic revenue mobilization, Ghana has a major challenge in the area of domestic revenue mobilization. The tax to GDP ratio is about 14%, compared to about 34% for the OECD countries. Most adults, as I have noted, are outside the tax net, and compliance is very low. In order to increase the number of people with tax identification numbers, as I told you, when we came in 2017, only 4% of the adult population had tax identification numbers, 4%. So to increase the population with tax identification numbers, we just took a simple decision. We said, well, the population by and large has national ID numbers, which we have issued, and we have about 17 million so far of the adult population, about 18% of the adult population. Now, if we just convert the national ID number to become your tax identification number, then we capture what we need.
The Vice President of Ghana, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, speaking at the Harvard University in the United States of America. And that would be it for Eyewitness News tonight. My name is Umaru Sandamado. I did this with Nashi Kasiza. Production by Kobna Wilson, Beverly London, and Sami Wiafi. Support from Feteti Jabano. The technical support came through from Daniel Squashi, and new media support from Edwin Kwakofi. Eyewitness News is back tomorrow at 17:30 GMT. Thank you for listening and have a good night.